Hi, everybody. It's meteorologist Joe Chaffee on this Wednesday as we wait for another cold day across the Northeast as this big high pressure builds in. What you're looking at is my forecast map for Thursday's snowfall. And the black line represents what I think will be the southern edge of any kind of snow that tries to accumulate on the ground. So for northeastern Pennsylvania, we're talking probably somewhere, between Wilkes-Barre and Scranton. From there, north and east, and then you continue eastward into New Jersey, into Sussex County. From there, north and east, northward, and then through the Hudson Valley into northwestern parts of Orange County and through Putnam County. So from there north, we're talking about, for snow lovers, it'll be a cheap thrill, a coating to an inch on grassy surfaces. Maybe it lasts for a short time, an hour or so, or a little bit longer than that, and then gradually goes over to rain. Might be some sleet mixed in, but it's all of this is going to be elevation driven anyway. So the higher you are, the you might wind up with a little bit more. And then as you go northward, we're talking about maybe 1 to 2 inches elevation driven around Susquehanna, Forest City, Honesdale, Hawley, in northeastern Pennsylvania, in Pike County, where, by the way, I've spent some time and I really love it. And then that extends up into the eastern areas of the Catskills, just west of the Hudson, and then maybe 2 or 3 inches as you go a little deeper into the Catskills and further north. 2 to 3 inches there. Again, elevated areas are going to be favored. Now, down closer to the coast, you go just south of this line, might see some wet snowflakes mixed in or some ice pellets. I wouldn't be surprised. But overall, for this area, much of it's going to be rain. In Connecticut, generally along and north and west of Route 84, especially as you get into northwestern Connecticut, you'll be in that cheap thrill coating to an inch on grassy surfaces. And then as far as the rainfall is concerned, hopefully we can get a half an inch to an inch out of this before it's all said and done because of the drought situation. Now, I'll show you the GFS. This is the new GFS snowfall map. And I just want to go back. We'll go back to earlier today. And so you can just kind of match it up. And it's not that much different. It's got pockets as you go northward of 4, 5, 6 inches, maybe even 7 or 8 inches as you get up closer to I-90. My experience with the GFS and these snow maps in general, from whatever model it is, that they tend to be a little on the high side. The darkest blue is basically a trace of snow, so it kind of matches up with where I have the southern edge. And then this was the mid-cycle run this afternoon. It was a little further south with that southern edge into New Jersey, into Hunterdon and Warren counties, and then the new run actually is a little further southeast, pushes the snow line maybe to just north of Route 287, where you might see a bit of a cheap thrill. It actually generates some pockets of 4 and 5 inch amounts in northeastern Pennsylvania, and you can see it still has those higher amounts up in the Hudson Valley. Now, in comparison, we'll look at the NAM model tonight, which has been also coming further south. Looks like along or just south of Route 84 in New York State, and gets into a little bit into northwest New Jersey, and then you get into these 4-inch amounts up in the Catskills, and then as you go up Route 87 and into upstate New York. Also, you can see a pocket here in western Massachusetts that gets quite a bit of snow, and then kind of lowers, even has a 3-inch amount in northwestern Connecticut. Doesn't really produce too much in Vermont or New Hampshire. It does produce some snowfalls in Maine, and let's see how far the GFS, if it's come out far enough, and it's out to 72 hours. The GFS is a little more generous with snowfalls up in Vermont and through much of western and northern New Hampshire and into Maine. So what's happening is, you've got this blocking pattern in the atmosphere, and because of that, the low is going to try and go a little further south. So you see how it stretches out with this high to the northeast, and it's a pretty strong high for this time of year. It can only get so far, and then it's going to force its energy to the path of least resistance. So it stretches out and redevelops over Long Island, and then moves on to the northeast from there to just east of Cape Cod. By that time, because of the time of year, there's no real cold air behind it. So you don't really get any kind of backside snows out of this. And then we just dry out and clear out for Saturday. I'll widen out just a little bit here, and I'll show you the upper air, why it's doing what it's doing. And, you've got this, you still have, as we roll back, you have this upper air deep trough off the East Coast that's been here for 3 or 4 days. And by the way, should point out, this is a big difference in the weather pattern that we saw last year going into the end of October into November, where November wound up being the warmest November on record for a number of cities in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic states, because there was just no trough there. It was just a big ridge along the East Coast for most of the month. The pattern is much different. It's a little bit on the blocky side, and it takes a little while for that upper low to get out of the way. So it kind of forces this system to dig a little further southeast than it otherwise would. Otherwise, you'd have a low going across the Canadian border and gone, and you just have a cold front come through here. But the blocking pattern that's there is enough to force the system to redevelop a little further south, and then that goes out, and you can see there's a vortex here up in northern Hudson's Bay. Again, this is an early. We're very early here going into late October. If this were late November, this might be a much more robust snow to rain situation. And you can see the blocking that's up over northern Greenland and extends out into the Arctic toward the pole. There's major warming that's going on there. That's going to be going on for the next couple of weeks, and that's going to have a long-term impact on the overall pattern. And I think, based on what I've been seeing, that if this trend continues, and if the polar vortex in the stratosphere, the highest levels of the atmosphere, if that continues to remain weak, that's going to translate into a blocky, colder look for the northeastern part of the United States. I'm thinking from mid-November on, so that we could have maybe an early onset of colder than normal temperatures like we're experiencing now, but something that's a little more prolonged, and the possibility that we could have some kind of early snowfall, even for down near the coast. It doesn't happen very often in the month of November, but occasionally it does as you go into the latter part of the month. So, pattern is shaping up much different than it did last year because we don't have the El Nino to deal with. So have a great day. Have a dry day on Wednesday with no weather issues at all. Freeze conditions in the morning over many areas of the Northeast down into Pennsylvania and through New Jersey and the Hudson Valley, Connecticut. You see temperatures up below 32 in the morning, and probably not much out of the upper 40s and low 50s for afternoon highs. You translate that to January, where you're running 10 degrees or more below normal. You're talking about days that temperatures don't get out of the 20s, and in some places maybe barely out of the low 20s, and nighttime lows in the teens to single digits. So if you want to seasonally adjust this air mass to the winter time, if you have this kind of pattern, that's probably what you would see. So have a great day, and I'll have one last look. Just again, the snowfall forecast map. Mostly rain down near the coast and into Connecticut, 1/2 inch to 1 inch, and then as you go north up into the Hudson Valley, north of Putnam County, Orange County, northwest New Jersey, northeastern Pennsylvania, coating to 1 inch, and maybe 1 inch or 2. Northeastern Pennsylvania, and you get to higher amounts in the Catskills. I'm being conservative, and this is my cat who likes to come and hang out with me when I'm doing weather tapes. Okay, so have a great day. SS Storm Chasers for all the latest on storm chasing. Meteorologist JoeChaffee.com. I'll be updating it all day tomorrow in case this changes. And weatherlongisland.com, NYCweathernow.com.